are so happy now to be given a grand tour by Ranger Ron Bernstein, who is the ranger here at Timna Park. Welcome to the show, and thank you for hosting us.
Thank you very much.
So this is a 27 square mile national park. It really is incredibly beautiful. I know this behind us, this mushroom is one of the most notable landmarks here. Explain why.
Well, it's notable because when people think of Timna Park, they think of the mushroom and they think of Solomon's Pillars. And this is one of the most popular places where people want to go to. It's also part of some of our tours that we do, lantern tours that we do, and it's lit up at night. And it's natural.
We know that there were people here thousands and thousands of years ago mining copper. How do we know that?
Well, from evidence we found throughout the area of the park, whether it be places like this we have over here was one of the copper mining, you call it the industrial area. After the ancient peoples, they would mine the copper from further back there, bring the copper ore here, and the production would start. We're talking about thousands of years. They tried putting ovens on mountaintops for the wind. They realized that in order to get the temperature up to 1200 degrees centigrade so the copper would separate, they had to use wind. The wind is not always stable. Now it's really blowing hard, but there are times where it wouldn't blow. And they devised bellows. We're talking about high tech, thousands of years ago, physics, chemistry, and engineering to be able to come up with what they did. That's incredible what the ancient peoples were able to do with, where are we, middle of the desert.
These are the famous Solomon's Pillars, not built by King Solomon himself, but why are they called Solomon's Pillars?
They're called Solomon's Pillars, from what I understand, is that there was an archaeologist, American archaeologist, Jewish, who was an expert in the Middle East and came to Jordan and then Palestine and heard that there were copper mines here. And he related them maybe to Solomon. He was correct in one thing, that it was the same. Now we know today that the peak of the copper mining was during the Solomon time.
So, Ranger Ron, tell us about the arches here and why they're so notable.
Okay, first of all, it's the arch is one of the many geological formations that we found throughout the park, and this is a result of hundreds of millions of years of erosion, water dissolving the what held the particles together, the way the water would run through. And here we have an example of one of the arches. There's another arch up there. This is also a place where many of the 10,000 ancient copper mines were found, whether it be the oldest ones and to the newer ones, like we have over here, an example of a mine shaft.
Ranger Ron, tell us about these inscriptions that we see on the rocks here where we are.
Okay, the inscriptions were dated about the time of the Egyptians, like I said before, the 14th, 12th century, 1150. And they related to, we know related to Egyptians. One, they found color in some of them, and really red and blue, which is related to what was found in the Sinai. And also the chariots that were found there. Drawings of the chariots, hunters on the chariots, the weapons drawn by bulls. And so it gives a great idea of what went on about the 12th century BC. I'm going to have lots of black and blue marks.
Ranger Ron, tell us where we are and why we just crawled through a very small passageway to get here. It must be very important.
We're in what the archaeologists call a Chalcolithic mine. The Chalcolithic period is the period between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age. It's with Chalcolithic means stone and copper. Okay, we're digging for copper. In fact, we'll be able to see on the walls here the copper ore, a line of copper ore in the walls here.
Ranger Ron, thank you so much for this exhilarating tour. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Very welcome.
And we're going to take a short break, but before we go anywhere, we have to wrap up this tour with the favorite part of your tour.
Okay, what I always do with a group that I have here, I always want people to understand why the desert is so special. And the special part of the desert is the quiet. You come down here in the middle of the night, turn off the lights, and you listen to the silence of the desert, which is loud. And you can actually hear the history coming through. Wow. So let's do it now.
Let's try it.
One,
two,
two, three.